Anyways, first thing first, we're going to be getting into WWE's Saturday night's main event from this past Saturday. Yeah, man, so we'll just jump right into it with the World Heavyweight Championship match between Gunther and Jey Uso. Yeet. So yeah, man, pretty decent match, pretty okay. Kind of predictable. I think it kind of played out the way I think everybody kind of thought it was going to play out. Not a bad match though overall. Pretty entertaining. A lot of commercial breaks, but that's the NBC thing. You know, that's main event. You know, we'll talk a little bit about main event too as a show, because there's a lot of talk about it being like almost like a house show, or kind of not really feeling like there's a lot of stakes involved with a lot of things that are happening during Saturday night's main event. And I kind of agree to an extent, but I feel like it's like a marketing thing. I think, in my opinion, I think Saturday night's main event is kind of more of like their like quote unquote normie show, I guess. And it's something to kind of like maybe draw in some new viewers with like the whole new era WWE, maybe get more normie fans watching from television, get them over to Netflix, consistently watching the programming, maybe. So I don't really feel like it's a born and bred show for the fans, where it's going to be like you're not necessarily going to like miss anything super important, although we'll get into it. There was some pretty cool stuff that did happen on this past Saturday night's main event that I do think was pretty important. So that's cool. But yeah, with Gunther, Jey Uso, I just feel like they just needed to do something with Gunther. Jey Uso is really big right now. He's like, the face of the company pretty much at this point when it comes to like branding and marketing, and like it's huge pop, entrance, all the Yeet stuff. It's wonderful. It's fun. I love it. Jey Uso is a pretty fun wrestler. I'm a pretty big fan. Not the biggest fan, but he's pretty cool. We'll jump into a little bit of history with my wrestling fandom. Actually, that should probably explain how I'll be reviewing wrestling, because I'm an old new fan, I guess is the best way to put it. So I grew up in the Attitude Era times of like I would say like early 90s stuff. I rented a lot of VHS tapes of early 90s pay-per-views and stuff. And then I started watching in like mid to late 90s, like on television, and keeping up with the Monday Night Wars and all that good stuff, able to watch both companies and whatnot. So it worked out pretty good for me. I was able to be a big fan up until maybe 2001 or so, whenever I was getting into high school and stuff like that, and just got into other things and was just not as interested. The Attitude Era was coming to an end. Things were changing. So I was just, didn't hate wrestling or anything, but I was just not interested. I was like heavily into skateboarding and like metal music and stuff like that. So I was just looking into other stuff at that point. So whenever I started to rewatch wrestling was WrestleMania 40. So I'm kind of a new fan again when it comes to like the new era stuff, because I was out for like, almost 20 years, probably about maybe 20 to 20 plus years. So when it comes to like talking about somebody like Jey Uso, I'm not super familiar with him because I've only been watching his run recently. You know what I mean? Like his newest era stuff. I'm not really familiar with his past and stuff like that. So it is what it is. I'm just kind of reviewing it as I have jumped in this past like almost a year. So that's my standpoint when it comes to like, being a wrestling fan again anyways. And should, I guess, add a little bit of context to my reviewing style of wrestling. Because with like the movie stuff, I kind of never got out of movies. I was always a huge movie fan. So all genres, mostly horror. But yeah, I've always been kind of like well-rounded with that. And it's kind of always been a constant, where wrestling hasn't. There was a very long period of time where I wasn't a wrestling fan. So there's that. So yeah, if I get some stuff wrong, or I'm not as familiar with somebody, that's why. But yeah, that's the big thing. That's how I say the Gunther Jey Uso match was predictable, is because nobody's expecting any title changes here with Saturday night's main event. Yeah, but that seems to be like the general consensus of Saturday night's main event, is it just feels kind of, I guess, maybe like house showish and kind of phoned in a little bit, kind of like a house show vibe. But to me, like the wrestling is pretty good. And as long as I get good wrestling matches and I get some solid content when it comes to that, I don't necessarily need storyline building all the time, so I'm okay with like one program out of WWE not building too much storyline and not going too far with things, or like having a lot of title change things happen. I'm cool with that, as long as the wrestling is pretty solid. And I feel like, especially with this Saturday night's main event, it was pretty solid. I think this one was even better than the last. But yeah, Gunther Jey Uso was pretty solid, pretty standard stuff, but I was overall, pretty entertained with it, so I'm cool with it. But when it comes to Gunther, I'm not really sure. I like Gunther. It's cool. He's working out, but it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like there's something there that's missing. I'm not sure maybe the direction they need to go. Let me know in the comments what you think about Gunther. I think maybe a lot of it is just like the focus on like the Universal title or whatever, Cody's title. I feel like there's just like a lot of emphasis there, and maybe not so much on the World Heavyweight title at this moment, but I don't know. We'll see where the story goes. All right, next up, we're going to be talking about the Intercontinental Championship match between Braun Breaker and Sheamus. Another solid match. Some really cool stuff in this one, man. That spear on the floor there in front of the announce table was amazing, man. So cool, dude. I like literally popped for that. That was so good. Super entertaining stuff. Great workers, man, here. Super solid match again. That's what I'm saying, like, about this, especially this main event in particular. I feel like the matches were just like super well choreographed, really well put together, especially the Rhea Ripley Nia Jax match. We'll talk about that later, but man, that one just felt like really textbook and really nice. Anyways, back to Braun Breaker and Sheamus. Yeah, man, I feel like, again, kind of a predictable ending. I didn't really think they were going to give it to Sheamus. Maybe, I thought maybe if they were going to mix up a title on Saturday night's main event, it might be that one, and it might be this might be the time. It wasn't, but I feel like, I don't think this is over. I feel like the Sheamus Braun Breaker Intercontinental, where does Sheamus go from here thing is still going to be something. I'm not sure, personally, like my opinion, where they're going to go with it. But I feel like Sheamus is not just going to like let this go completely. I feel like this is still going to continue on to be something. But yeah, I'm really liking Braun Breaker, man. I was a big Steiner Brothers fan back in the day. They were always really fun to watch. I was a WCW kid. So yeah, the Steiner Brothers were ruling over there. Really good, really fun, entertaining stuff for sure. So really cool to see a Steiner in there again. And he's great, man. He's got good aura. He's very scary, mean looking guy. Great physique, wonderful move sets. Yeah, I'm a big Braun Breaker guy. I'm digging him. I want to see him on more PLEs. That's definitely like my thing. I'm going to push this Intercontinental belt a little bit more. Let's do it. All right, man. Next one up is Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu. And this is what I was talking about when I was talking about like reasons to watch Saturday night's main event. I feel like this was one. This is like a little sprinkle, little Salt Bay moment here with Jacob Fatu just going off and going wild and like just moonsaulting his ass off on Strowman over here after he's just down and out for the count, man. You got the ring full of officials and everybody. You got general managers everywhere. He like throws a chair at the dude's head. First guy in the ring. That was wild, man. I was like, holy crap. This is good stuff. Jacob Fatu, again, that aura, he's got that for sure, man. Maybe even more so than Braun Breaker. I mean, it's just scary. You know what I mean? It's super intense. Great wrestler. He's gonna go places. This is the year of Fatu for sure, man. I think they have a great opportunity to like really push him and really do more stuff like this, like some more unhinged, wild stuff. The crowd popped for it. It was great. It was pretty solid match as well. But just the way it wrapped up was pretty wild. A little weird with the way that they booked it with the ref stuff, but it worked itself out, and it made sense to me for some building Fatu's just aura and like intensity. Next up is Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. Dude, solid match, man. Again, like I'd said before, I'd mentioned this earlier in this review, that I just really thought the choreographed moves and everything was just super solid. They did a lot of cool stuff. Really got to see like Rhea just like show like what a good worker she is in this match, and I think that was really cool. Just a great bare bones World Championship match. And I'm not like the biggest Nia Jax fan, but I felt like she was used really well here. She was like, her strengths were utilized in a really, really solid way in this match, and it just complemented Rhea's intensity so well. Yeah, great chemistry with these two. I was pleasantly surprised by this match. It was a great way to start the show too. I feel like Rhea did get a little hurt. I'm not sure if she got like injured or for real, but with when she dropped on her and she was like grabbing her rib there towards the end. So like the last few minutes felt a little wobbly, but overall, man, solid match. Really good move sets, great choreography. Yeah, super good, super entertaining. Not a lot of downtime either. That was another thing I noticed about like this match in general and Saturday night's main event this time around in general too, is that just the intensity. It felt like, time meant something. Like it was moving fast. It wasn't like, it didn't like feel sluggish at all. It felt like really, really well paced. And I think that's just because like this is like the second one back after like the first one back, if that makes sense. Like the original Saturday night's main event coming back. It's been a while since it had been a thing, and they kind of rebranded it to the old school way and all that kind of stuff with like the new promo stuff for it. Yeah, we got that one out of the way. Now we're in like more of like a groove now, I think, with Saturday night's main event. The same with like Netflix. The first Raw Netflix just felt like a PLE, and like a lot of like mentioning Netflix over and over again, which it's gonna happen. It's a huge deal. I get it. It's a big thing. But I feel like we're there with Saturday night's main event now, where it's like, okay, this can kind of be its own thing now. It's not like the hype has died down. So now, the intensity and the pacing can like speed up a little bit. And I feel like they definitely did that in this one for sure. And I feel like a great representation or example of that would be this match here with Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. Next up is the contract signing between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens with special guest Shawn Heartbreak Kid Michaels. Yeah, man, super fun, dude. A good time. A little bit more fun than I thought it was going to be. I was kind of like meh on the idea. Like, okay, whatever. This is a thing. I hadn't really seen one in like the new era yet, I don't think, as far as the contract signing goes, because like I said, I'm a new fan to it with the PLEs ever since Mania 40, but like just PLEs until now. Like now that Netflix has Raw, I'm able to watch Raw. Still trying to figure out SmackDown. So give me a minute. I'll get some SmackDown reviewing eventually, but let me work some magic and we'll figure it out. But as of right now, I'm just reviewing the PLEs and Raw and stuff like that. And Saturday Night's Main Event. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by just how fun this promo was and this contract signing thing. The Shawn Michaels super kick was awesome to see. Definitely got a pop out of me from that. Great promos from everybody all around. The intensity is there. They really like sold me on the match. You know what I mean? I was already sold on the match. I'm a ladder match fan big time. So I was excited about it already. But yeah, definitely building some hype around it. The double belt thing is going to be an interesting aspect to it. The theory online, and I kind of think that might be the way to go with it, is one's going to pull one belt and the other's going to pull the other. What do we do? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Is Randy Orton going to get involved? That's another theory I saw floating around that I think is pretty interesting because of the whole Kevin Owens, going to be a rivalry there now. So that ought to be fun if that happens. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah. Pretty stoked on it. I was cool with the contract signing. It was a fun thing. Yeah. Good little addition to Main Event.